My 33-years-old wife cheated on me with threesome. What I did when I caught her on the spot. Hello, everyone. I heard it's very helpful to be here. And you hope so today. I'll tell you the cheating story of my wife with threesome. I hope the story will be very helpful for you guys. I won't lighten my heart but telling the story of my wife's infidelity. I hope you definitely learned something from the story. If you like the story of mine, then please thumbs up on this video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then subscribe it now and click on the icon so that the upcoming interesting videos can reach you. My name is James and I live in Houston, Texas. I am from a good family. My parents was very kind to me, but I did not get my parents' love for many years because my parents died in my childhood when I was 10 years old. My father gave my responsibility to my uncle. He was very loyal to my father. I was raised by my uncle, but he was a bit strict. His strictness built up my character. Besides of that, I was always longing for love because my uncle treats me as a responsibility, but I always need parents' love. I was the only son of my parents when I was 25 years old. I completed my graduation. After completing my graduation, I took over my uncle's business, that was my father's business in Rio. And my uncle managed it for me. I was very professional in my work and working with fun. As usual, I was going home from my office. At evening, I saw a beautiful blue-eyed girl helping an older man to cross the road. She's very beautiful like fairy. I kept staring at this beautiful blue-eyed girl for some time. And after a while, that girl disappeared from my sight. This girl sat in my mind for some time and I kept thinking about her all the way through. This was happening to me for the first time. I don't know what I liked about that girl, maybe her innocence or her respect for elders eluded me, but I thought about her for a long time. Next morning, I had forgotten about that girl and went to my office. As usual. When I reached my office, there was an invitation card of my buddy named Harry and his wife's first wedding anniversary on my desk. Little did I know at that time that invitation card would change my life. My friend's wedding anniversary was the following week. I usually don't go to such events. But that time I couldn't refuse my friend's insistence. So I accepted this invitation and reached on time at venue. I saw this blue-eyed girl for the second time at this event. This girl looked very beautiful and different from all of them. She was my friend's wife, best friend. I did not want to miss this opportunity and wanted to talk to her. I inquired about her from my friend. So my friend called her by the name of Ruby, meaning her name was Ruby. She came near to me and my friend called me, introduced to her. So finally I met her through my friend. I was apparently a very confident person, but I was very hesitant while talking to Ruby as if I had no words in my mouth. But Ruby spoke to me very well. She was very well-mannered. We sat for 2 hours and had a detailed friendly conversation, and without even realizing time, she seemed just like me. Ruby's parents also died when she was a child and she was brought up in an orphanage. During that 2 hours conversation, I decided to marry her instead of introducing her and spending time with her. And it was probably the worst decision of my life. Following week, I contacted Ruby through a friend and invited her to meet me at a restaurant near town. She arrived at the appointed time wearing a very beautiful ensemble with charm in her eyes and a look of joy on her face as if she knew, what am I going to talk to her about? I proposed to her and she immediately accepted as if she was already ready to marry me. Maybe she'll love me like I love her. But this was a little bit strange for me. I mentioned my decision to my friend Harry, but he was not ecstatic to hear it and advised me to think for some time. But I did not listen to him. We wasted no time and got married the next week in the presence of a few friends. All the preparations for the wedding were done by my friend Harry and his wife. We spent 7 years of marriage very happily and our love grew with each passing day. But we did not have any child yet. But this did not make any difference in our love, nor did it diminish our love. One fine winter's night, my friend Harry and his brother William were sitting playing chess. When I mentioned the love of my wife, that she loved me very much and that we both lived a happy life, then my friend Harry's facial expressions changed and he started laughing. I did not like that laugh, as if he was laughing at me. I asked him, "Why are you laughing?" He replied, "Your wife is not with you. Love's your wealth. The day it ends, your wife's love will also end." Hearing this, I got frustrated at him and left. But Harry's words stuck somewhere in my mind, because during those beautiful and prosperous years of marriage, I had definitely felt that my wife loved money. And I often thought that if I had this money, if not, maybe Ruby would never, ever marry me. I had never wanted to see Harry again. But at my wife's insistence I did, and Harry apologized to me for his behavior and we would be friends again. Ruby knew full well that Harry had spoken wrong about her. But why she insisted on being friends with him again, this often puzzled me, because I considered my wife to be a very innocent and soft-hearted woman. I thought maybe she was saying all this because she did not want me and Harry's friendship to end over the years. So I did not think much about it. For me, my wife was a gift from God. I love her very much and always blindly believed in her. After a few months, my business was getting worse day by day. My life is to be changed. My wife's behavior was also changing day by day, and I was not able to give her all the comforts which she needed. And her behavior started to make me uneasy. I was trying my best to keep her happy, but her mood was getting more and more irritable, and I was very worried about it. I remembered what Harry had said a few months ago. He had said that the day my wealth was gone, my wife would also be out of love with me. But I did not want that, because I was madly in love with my wife. I used to love her and wanted her to love me the way I love her. I never wanted Harry's words to be true. So I started working harder to make more money. But my hard work was going in vain and the business was getting worse day by day. So I decided to go to another city and try my luck for all this. I had to leave my lovely wife alone in the city. I left the responsibility of my wife to Harry for take care of her in my absence and left for another city. I did this because I trusted Harry so much until a year after moving to another city. My wife used to call me a lot. There has been no decline in our love. I was working very hard to fix my business, but it did not work. My business was not getting better and it was getting worse with time. Whenever Ruby would ask me about my business, I would tell her the business is not improving and she would hang up the phone in frustration. Couldn't do anything to make my wife happy. My wife's calls and messages gradually reduced and suddenly stopped. Whenever I called her, her phone would be busy or she didn't answer my call at all. I began to worry that something had happened to Ruby or that I might lose her. This bothered me a lot and I left everything and came back. I had not told anyone about my return. I was on my way back when my friend Harry's wife called me and told me that they had divorced. This news was very disturbing and surprised me because they both loved each other very much. Harry's wife was about to tell me something about Ruby when the call cut off because my phone switched off because of low battery all the way. I was wondering what was the reason they both got separated and what she wanted to tell me about Ruby. There was no end in sight and my anxiety was increasing. I charged my cell phone again and called Harry's wife again and asked her what she was going to tell me about Ruby, and she told me I cannot talk on the phone. When you get back to town, I have to give you very important news. When I reached my city, I was very ecstatic because I was going to see my wife after for ages. So my arrival will be a surprise for her. I took her favorite flowers along the way to make her happy. When I went to home, I was surprised to see that my friend Harry and his brother William were sitting at my house eating and my wife was in the kitchen. I felt strange, but I trusted my friend and my wife so much that I did not think much about it. My wife was very surprised to see me at home so suddenly, but her face showed no signs of joy at my return at the table where Henry and William were sitting. I also went to them and sat on the other chair. I asked Harry about his divorce. He gave me a strange answer. It surprised me to hear. He started laughing and said that my heart was full of my vibe. So I left her, and by saying this, he and his brother, William, left my house. Then Ruby brought me some food and I sat her next to me and looked into her beautiful blue eyes. I asked Ruby, did she miss me as much as I did her? So she changed the topic and started asking me why I came back. I did not like her question at all. But I replied, I was missing my dear wife so much. That's why I came back. I was wondering if Ruby wasn't happy to have me back because of her love for me has ended. I began to regret my decision to leave my wife alone and move to another city. I was working hard to get my wife's love like before, and I was trying my best to keep her ecstatic. I was working day and night to fix my business. But all of my efforts were going in vain. One thing that bothered me a lot, my wife was not excited about my return but kept telling me to go back and earn more money. So we had lots of fights. Also, my friend Harry started visiting my house a lot, even more surprising. One day I came home early from the office due to feeling a bit out of the ordinary as I entered the room, my wife talking with someone about money. When I entered into the room, she cut off the call immediately and she had a look on her face as if she thought I had heard everything I asked her about call. She immediately changed the topic and asked me about my untimely arrival. I said I was not feeling well and get home soon to take a hot coffee from a hot wife. I did not make her feel at all like I doubted her. She went to make coffee for me. I immediately checked her phone's call history because I knew her phone password, and she was talking to my friend, Harry's brother, William. This surprised me because I was beginning to suspect that my wife and Harry were cheating on me. But why was she talking to William? I got to understand one thing by surety, that my wife was doing something worse. Now, I thought to catch my wife red-handed. One day, I told my wife I'm going to another city for work. Hearing this, my wife was overjoyed as if her great goal was about to be fulfilled. And she was not as happy at my arrival as she was at my departure. And I told my friend Harry as well, and I did this all on purpose, doing all of this. I tried my best to contact Harry's wife but failed. Maybe she changed her phone number after infidelity of her husband. She left the city and went to another city. I bought 3 cameras and installed them in the main door lounge area of my house. Before leaving my house, I lied to my wife and left the home that I was going to another city for work. But in reality, I stayed in a rented house near my home and checked the recording on the camera all the time. After 2 days of installing the camera, I couldn't find any proof that my wife was cheating on me. I was thinking of going back home. And the 3rd day, when I saw Harry coming towards my house, when he reached home, he knocked on the door and my wife opened the door. They both kissed each other and then he entered. He went in and locked the door. I was shocked to see that. After that, I was shocked to see what I saw in the TV lunch camera. I saw that my wife and Harry were sitting on the couch. She was so ecstatic with him. She had never been so happy when I came to house, seeing all that I hated myself for loving my wife so much. I saw that Harry again kissed my wife and made some love. She was really cheating on me with my friend, Harry. The whole reality was in front of my eyes. So I wasted no time and left the rented house and came to my house. I went to the back door of my house, which I always have the keys with me. I heard some moaning sounds of my wife from the upstairs portion. I decided to kill both of them and took my hunting gun with me. I slowly went upstairs towards my room. When I opened the door, I was surprised. In addition to my wife, Harry, his brother William was also present in the room. I was shocked to see that my wife was having threesome with my friend, Harry, and his brother William in the same bed. At the same time, I saw this and sat in my senses for some time when Harry and his brother, William, saw the gun in my hand. They ran out of the room's window in fear because my wife was too drunk to get out of the bed. I put down my gun. I went near to her and asked her, "Why did you do all this?" I was hoping for an answer, and not knowing she applied, "You couldn't give me the lifestyle which I needed and for which I married you," and all that she did for money, or maybe to quench her lust. But after hearing all that, my ears burst. I started to hate my wife. My wife began to apologize to me and ask me not to leave her. But I did not want to stay with her anymore and did not even want to see her for a day. So I kicked her out of my house. After a while, I got a call from Harry's ex-wife. I answered the call before she could tell me anything. I told her the whole story. She said, "I already knew this all, and I'll tell you, I wanted to tell you, but I had to leave the city for an important job." I was told by Harry's wife that my wife and Harry had a relationship before we got married because Ruby was very much in love with, and Harry's business wasn't going well at the time. So they split up. I was not remembering Harry telling me why he forbade me to marry Ruby and saying that I should have spent some time with Ruby so I could understand what Ruby wanted. She loved my wealth more than myself. Everything was happening in front of my eyes, but I was so blind in love for my wife that I couldn't see anything. Harry had said the trip that day, my wealth was gone. My wife's love for me would also be gone that day. It was like a doomsday for me. I spent the whole night sitting in a corner of my room crying and remembering the beautiful moment I spent with Ruby. I left that place and went somewhere for us so I could forget my wife today. It's been a long time. I still couldn't forget my wife, but I'm living a very ecstatic life and my business is doing well. I'm single but happy. Indeed. I'll have one regret: that I love my wife so much and trusted her like blind. I never went back. Sometimes I miss my wife. A question must come to my mind. Where did my wife go that night when I kicked her out of the house, or been to Harry's or William's or maybe somewhere else? And I don't know about my wife, whether she's alive or dead. She'll miss me or maybe not, whether she's still doing all this for money or not.